Welcome to another edition of Green is Good. This is the Washington, D.C. Green Festival edition of Green is Good, and we're so excited to have with us today Sarah Chalos. She is the CEO and co-founder of I Love Quinoa. Welcome to Green is Good.
Thank you very much.
You know, okay, so when I say it's really I Heart Quinoa, so I want our listeners to be able to look it up. It's www.iheart, as you spell heart, quinoa, KEENWAH.com. I love quinoa, but it's spelled iheartquinoa.com. Sarah, before we get talking about your great company, which I'm a big fan of, being a vegan, I would like you to share a little bit with our viewers and our listeners out there your story. Talk a little bit about your background. Was this a dream of yours? Was this something that came up along the way? And just share a little bit of your journey first.
Sure. I've always been interested in entrepreneurship. I think there's something that's just very exciting about, starting your own company and, just running in the day-to-day yourself. And so that was always sort of a dream of mine. And I worked at a few small companies, but after college I worked in sort of bigger companies and just wasn't very satisfying. So I went to business school and I met my partner there. And this was actually a class project that we worked on, and just wrote our business plan and had some fun with it and thought, hey, maybe this idea has some legs. And so we just started making some stuff in our kitchen, selling it at farmers markets, and that's how
Which business school were you going to?
University of Chicago.
And your partner was with you in Chicago.
Yeah.
And why quinoa though? And I mean, how did you even come up with that for your business class?
This was like 5 years ago when people were like, what's quinoa?
Yeah.
So he had just come back actually from a trip to Bolivia, and obviously they make a lot of things with quinoa in Bolivia. So
right.
He was very familiar with it because his wife is vegetarian, so she'd been eating it for a long time. So he thought, there's no ready-to-eat versions of quinoa in the United States, so maybe there's something here, maybe there's an idea here, and that's how it got started. And I mean, it's just such an amazing seed, right?
Had you come from an entrepreneurial background, or was this something new to your family?
Yeah, not really. No, my dad's a professor, which I guess is sort of entrepreneurial because you're on your own doing your own
right.
research, and so there's sort of that independence there. And I
right.
think I've always had that sort of independent streak
right.
from my family, but not entrepreneurship per se.
Interesting. And had your family been into sustainability, or was anyone a vegetarian or vegan?
Not really. I think what really kind of got me thinking about it was Michael Pollan's book, In Defense of Food.
Sure.
I read that, and that was really changed the whole way I thought about what I eat. It's just a very simple message about, hey, let's look at the ingredients and let's eat real food, right? That makes a lot of sense. It's very intuitive. It's very simple, and that changed the way.
So you
I think
launched the
about food.
business in what year?
We founded in 2009, but we didn't have product in a bag until 3 years later.
Okay, so 3 years.
2012.
So we're sitting here in the middle of 2015. Here's your product line right here.
Yeah.
And so explain a little bit about quinoa. Why, this is a different type of spelling.
Yep.
It's not a traditional. Quinoa typically is spelled Quinoa.
Right.
So why a different spelling? Let's just start with that.
Sure. So the whole idea and the whole concept is to take something that's so good for you and make it accessible for folks. And so, everything from the name to the way that it's being eaten is just trying to make it easy for people, because quinoa really is a superfood. And so let's make it easy for them to say, easy for them to eat straight out of the bag, make it taste great, make it accessible.
I gotcha. Talk a little bit about, we hear a lot about superfoods. What is a superfood, and why is quinoa a superfood?
Right, I think it's used in a lot of terms.
Yeah.
Quinoa is a quote-unquote superfood because it has all the amino acids that your body doesn't produce itself. So it has the same quality of protein that you would find in meat or dairy, but it's in a seed. So that's why it's very special for vegetarians. To get that same quality of protein, they'd have to eat rice and beans together, or seek out other sources of protein to combine. But quinoa has it all in the seed itself.
Gotcha.
So that's why it's special.
So how much protein does quinoa have as opposed to other type of grains or other things?
It has a little bit more protein, but it's less about the number and more about the quality of protein. So because it has all the amino acids that your body does, it's the whole package rather than the quantity. I mean, if you really are going for like a high protein, you're going to eat something that's more processed protein, sort of like isolates and stuff have more quantity.
Right.
This is a little bit more about the quality.
Gotcha, and more accessible, because of the quality. So then, you start this company, you choose quinoa. Why So tell me why the products that we see here. How did you come up with these products to make it fun and accessible for potential consumers out there?
Yeah, we started with this one, the quinoa cluster. So what we wanted to do here was just make it, something that you kind of grab straight out of the bag, and so we wanted these little squares. And then to do that, we had to figure out how to make the quinoa. I mean, quinoas are little seeds, right? We had to figure out how to make it stick together.
Yeah.
And so we just played with different sort of binders. We did it in our kitchen, and then we worked with a food formulator a little bit in Chicago to kind of formalize the recipe. But a lot of it was just, messing around the kitchen with different ingredients. Does agave syrup hold the quinoa together? We ended up with a brown rice syrup, mostly holding it together, and some raw sugar. So yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Wait a second. Let's talk about the ingredients. You just mentioned the ingredients here. So in this is just everything is quinoa, brown rice syrup. I mean, this looks like everything that's good for you. I don't see anything that's bad for you
that's
the
point. I mean, I want people to read the ingredient list, right? I want them to feel good about what they're eating. I want it to be things that you recognize, fairly unprocessed, things that you can feel good about putting in your body. I mean,
and this is gluten-free.
It's gluten-free, and everything in the clusters is organic except for the nuts. Organic
and it's
nuts.
vegan?
And it's vegan.
Wow. So I could try this?
Yeah.
We're going to try this right here on the camera here.
All right.
We're going to do the taste test right here. We're opening the bag, if I could do that intelligently. And this is 3 years old. This is the product.
Right.
Okay, so.
So, I mean, it's kind of evolved over time. But it's basically, you would eat it any time that you eat a bar.
Oh my gosh.
But it's better because it comes in little squares, right? So it's, you don't have to commit to eating a whole bar. You might not want 250 calories. Maybe you just want a few squares to sit, in your car instead of being attracted to going through a drive-through, or at your desk at work instead of going to the vending machine.
Oh my gosh, that's delicious.
Thank
Chocolate
you.
sea salt. How many flavors of this kind of thing do you have?
We have 5 flavors of that, and we have 4 flavors of
What kind of flavors? Explain the flavors.
So chocolate sea salt, cranberry cashew, which I've also done here.
Oh yeah. Let's bring the cranberry cashew out. Wow.
And almond and peanut butter cacao. That one's really nice. It has the same sort of chocolate drizzle on this, and it has raw cacao nibs, so it has a really neat flavor. It's kind of like a healthy version of a Reese's peanut butter cup.
What's the #1 seller?
Chocolate sea salt.
Oh, that is so good. And so that was delicious. Talk a little bit about the quinoa puffs.
Yeah, those aren't vegan, so I got another one of those if you want to try those.
Yeah, let's try these.
So the puffs, I mean, basically what we're doing here, so we're in the clusters we use quinoa seeds, puffs, and flakes. In the puffs we use quinoa flour, and we bake it. Basically we're trying to make a healthy version of a Cheeto. It's got a great crunch to it. It's got 5 grams of protein per serving. Again, very simple, short list of ingredients.
Very delicious, let's just say that.
Thank you.
Wow.
I mean, that you would eat next to your sandwich. Anytime you would want to pick up a bag of chips, that is a great alternative.
Oh my gosh, this is great. So the ingredients on all of your products, very important to you.
Right.
Explain to our listeners and our viewers overall why ingredients are so important nowadays, more than ever before probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the food, a lot of the food that's in the store, a lot of it's just full of chemicals, right? It's these things that have been made in a laboratory. And it just, to me, feels like we should be putting, our food is our fuel, right? It's the thing it keeps us going every day. It's very tied to our health, our longevity. And so I think it intuitively feels much better to me to be eating real food and things that weren't made in a laboratory, because who knows what the effects of those things are.
Who is carrying this right now? Where can our viewers and our listeners find these amazing and great products?
Thanks. So the clusters are in about 3,500 stores across the U.S. So Safeway. Safeway started a great section near the produce with dried fruit and nuts and a lot of healthy snacks. We're in H-E-B, we're in Wegmans, we're in ShopRite, we're in 4 regions of Whole Foods. So we've got pretty good distribution.
Talk a little bit about going from 2 co-students coming up with this great business idea at business school to getting in 3,500 locations. How many employees do you have now? Where are your offices? And how did you do this?
We don't sleep very much anymore.
I can imagine.
I'm sure you know how that feels.
Yeah.
So it started out just walking, store to store when we had our first product in a bag. We went to Whole Foods when we had product in a Tupperware. We just showed up at headquarters and we're like, hey, we have this great product, we think it's going to be great for your store. And they were like, they give us a little pat on the head. They were actually really nice.
Right.
It was exciting that they were so nice to us. We
I'm
didn't
sure
know.
they've seen this before.
Right. Here comes another crazy foodpreneur.
Right.
But once we had the product in a bag, we just walked store to store in Chicago, because I live in Chicago, and my partner lives in New York. Just selling, saying, hey, will you try our quinoa snacks out? I think people they like the product a lot. I think, it's just by looking at it, it looks very appetizing, so people are willing to give it a shot. And I think people also want to support, the food entrepreneurs and any entrepreneur. I think people, especially in the United States, just love the story of the entrepreneur, and it's very exciting to them. And so people along the way have been really nice in giving us a shot.
So what was the first chain that carried this product?
The first chain?
What was your first big break?
Wegmans.
Wegmans.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that was exciting. They brought in spinner racks, and and they still carry it, and they carry the puffs now too.
So what is what's been your growth rate? What percentage of growth, like year over year?
Yeah, we've last few years we've been doubling every year. So
doubling every year.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So typical day. Your offices are in Chicago?
Yeah, that's our headquarters.
How many employees?
It's just been Ravi and myself until 3 weeks ago. We just hired our first employee. It was very exciting.
Unbelievable. You've done this with 2 employees.
Yeah.
You and your co-founder.
Yeah.
Incredible. And you've just hired your third.
Yeah.
I love your overhead.
Right, exactly.
You're
very low overhead.
This is
We're
great.
scrappy. We're scrappy. I sleep on a lot of couches. And
Oh my gosh, this looks great. So give me a typical day.
Yeah, that's what I love about it, is every day is so different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking about strategy, what stores should we target to really grow, and where are we going to resonate with folks. I'm thinking about marketing events, where should we do demos, and how do we connect with our consumer. I'm thinking about a lot of operations. We have manufacturers that help us make the product, so do they have the raw materials? So there's a lot of operations things to think about. Finance, can't forget about accounting. It's very important. It's a little painful, but it's
by
very
the way,
important.
we have so many listeners and viewers around the world that want to be the next Sarah. How did you finance this when you launched it?
Yeah, we just bootstrapped. So at the beginning it was, let's buy the smallest amount of. We were buying almonds in 25-pound cases, and we were, we found a packaging company that would, run all of our flavors on the same mat. Same sort of at the same time, so we didn't have to have such high minimums. So we kind of just found ways to do everything on a really, really small scale. And I think we tried it out a lot to make sure that it was a good idea. Tried it out in farmers markets. Okay, which flavors work? And we tried everything on a small scale so that we could do it by ourselves. And really, if the first bag was profitable, we never sold it at a loss, because we needed that money to keep funding the business.
Do you sell this online as well?
Yeah, you sell it on our website, on Amazon.
And the website is iheartkeenwah.com. I spell out heart, quinoa, KEENWAH.com, iheartkeenwah.com. What would you do differently if today was 2012 again and you were starting over?
Yeah, I think I would we were very excited to get going, right? We wanted to start selling.
Like all entrepreneurs are.
Right. I think I probably would have spent a little bit more time on the R&D. I think I really love the product now, but it's gone through a lot of iterations, a lot of changes. So I think, really investing the time up front to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, because every time somebody puts it in their mouth, that's what they remember, right? You don't get another chance.
That's right.
So I think, now I feel really good about it. It's a little better than it was 3 years ago.
Right,
so I would have probably spent a little bit more time on the R&D.
How do you market it? Once it's in a store, Sarah, how do you get people to try it and buy it? And are you leveraging social media, or what are you leveraging?
Yeah, a lot of it is about getting in people's mouths, right? Because it tastes great. So we do a lot of product demonstrations, and we do events like the Green Fest, where I can meet thousands of people and get them to try it and tell them the story. So a lot of it is just really about sampling and tasting.
That's interesting. And have the stores been very helpful? They've been supportive as well, the stores that sell your product?
Yeah, I think, like I said, people want to give us a shot, so, they know we're small, and so they'll give you a bit of a break sometimes on the requirements to get into a store.
Sarah, you're obviously highly educated, and there's 2 different things out there. There's the headlines and the trend lines. So the trend lines, I believe, sound like they're in your favor. More people are reading ingredients, more people are eating healthier. Vegetarian and veganism is becoming more mainstream than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Gluten-free.
Right.
How do you now evolve your product and your product line and your brand to take advantage of the trend lines that are out there?
I mean, I think there's a lot of runway with our current products, and I think there's a lot of runway with quinoa as a seed. You know, it's so versatile, and I think that's really it's the core of what we are is quinoa, and I think we envision that it could be something that is in everybody's pantry, just like rice, right? Just something that you cook with all the time, and something that is even healthier than a lot of things you eat on a day-to-day basis. And so I think we have a long way to go before we reach that potential where quinoa is just sort of a household item, and we want to be the quinoa brand, right?
Is there sales happening for you right now in Canada?
Yeah, we have 2 distributors in Canada.
You do?
Yeah.
How about other than Canada? Is this a product that can go international to Asia and to Europe?
Yeah, so particularly the puffs, because they have a year shelf life. These are a 9-month shelf life, so it's a little bit tough with export. But the puffs are already going to the Middle East, and we have some interest from some South American countries and some Hong Kong. Just placed our first order, so we're doing some export as well. Yeah.
Do you find who are your biggest clients? Is it men, women, younger, older, little kids? Who's eating your I Heart Quinoa products more than anybody else?
I think when people taste it, it resonates with a lot of people. But the people that are most likely to pick it up are women who are health aspirational, right? They've heard of quinoa, they know that it's good for them, but they might not know how to cook it, and they want to eat something that's better for them. They want to make good choices, but they might not necessarily know exactly what to choose. So those are the people that it resonates the most with.
We're here at the Green Festival today in Washington. Why are you taking your brand to the Green Festival to showcase it here today? Why was this an important place for you to showcase I Heart Quinoa?
Because these are people that care about the way they live their life. These are the kind of people that do read ingredients, and they care about the sustainability of quinoa, and they care, which is something that we care about as well. They care about the ingredients that they're choosing, and so this is really where I think people will kind of fall in love with our product.
Have you done Green Festival before? Or is this your first one?
This is our first one, yeah.
First one. Well,
yeah.
I wish you luck today. This can be a great day. I'm sure you're going to be very well received. And Sarah, I really appreciate you coming on the show. This is delicious. I Heart Quinoa is a delicious product. I just tried it here right on camera, and it's really yummy. For our listeners out there that want to learn more about Sarah's great company, it's www.iheartquinoa, keenwah.com, iheartquinoa.com. Sarah Chalos, you are making the world a better place and are truly living proof that green is good.